Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, there's not much news for Star Trek at the moment outside of the whole canon erasures and so forth that everyone's debating about. But Zoe Saldana has done another interview where she mentioned Star Trek, and she did call for a bit of haste in doing the next Star Trek film. Basically, not talking about herself, obviously, saying how the actors are all getting a bit older and getting a full head of grey hair, and I'm like, Zoe, you're obviously not talking about yourself because you look gorgeous. So she's obviously talking about the men. Now, Zachary Quinto is not bothered because he knows the other Star Trek actors. They made films well into the 60s. They may not be running as fast on, Strange New Worlds, but, that's fine. But she feels like if we're going to return to this cast, we need to do it soon. She wants to see Uhura progress. She wants to see her be in a leadership position. She wants to see her and Spock get back together. She feels like they do have a future. They do have another step in the relationship. So that's interesting. I kind of felt they were sort of over. They'd sort of had their course, but she seems to think they've got a future. But yeah, so she was at an awards thing and she was talking and she was saying, we really need to get this happening fast. And obviously they've promised us a few times, but nothing happened. Now, as far as other news, a couple little things. Sadly, Star Trek has always had like a fan magazine of some sort. A lot of them were fan-based. Then they did the Star Trek Communicator, which was done by Paramount. It sort of was taken over from a fan publication. And then when Enterprise ended, they were like, oh, we don't need to promote our show anymore. They cancelled it because they are heartless machines. But they came back with Star Trek, the magazine. That was good for a while. They turned into the Star Trek Explorer. And then unfortunately, once we got into New Trek days, it was just all promoting new Star Trek and they just didn't pay any attention to the original Star Trek. And I stopped getting it because there just weren't any articles that I wanted to read or pictures that I wanted to keep or anything, because I normally would just read the whole thing and then pull out the articles I want to keep. And I have like a folio just full of articles, and I would only keep the magazines if they had a theme and had a lot of interviews, and there were too many to pull out in their own little book, basically. So I've got a few of them, like one on Star Trek the Motion Picture, one on the JJ films, and they did special editions for the first couple of JJ films and all that. I think there's one for all three. Some were like thick covered ones and that. But basically it's coming to an end, and in a nice little moment, the final Star Trek Explorer is featuring as on the cover an interview with William Shatner where it all began. I'm like, well, that's a nice way to end it, because they had been turning a blind eye to the original Star Trek and just being really focused on new Trek, and I think that's why people stopped buying it, because the fans like me who want interviews with the old cast and news on things with the merch and all that from Star Trek, we weren't really getting that. I wasn't getting that, and there weren't pictures and retrospective documentaries with images that I wanted to look at and I wanted in print or anything. So I just stopped getting it. I used to go to my normal newsagent, and they normally only have one copy. I'd normally buy it. Very rarely did I not buy it, and very rarely did I find it wasn't there and I had to go somewhere else. Yeah, I stopped, and I bought one sort of on Discovery in general and one on Picard in general. They had other articles as well, but had that on the cover. I sort of thought, well, yeah, but that was sort of where I stopped. So that was a couple of years ago, and I wasn't the only person, obviously, because now they're done and dusted. They did an interview with William Shatner. I don't think there's anything remarkable in it. It's just nice that they actually just had that as the last cover as Kirk on the front. You've got a few quotes from Captain Kirk. Do I miss playing Kirk? I've done other things. I'm having a good time. Certainly Boston Legal was a lot of fun. Extremely well written. I'm grateful to have been able to play the part. It was great fun to play. It's just stuff about him. It's not really remarkable. There's no real news happening with Shatner or anything. It's just a nice way to end it. And I think there's an alternative cover just with a nice portrait of Kirk with a nice mustard background. And then the regular sort of cover, and it's got him, but it's got all the other cast members behind it. So there's some exclusive short fiction. Final issue, we look back at 20 years of Star Trek magazine. Wow, has it been 20 years? Probably has. Oh yeah, because Enterprise folded around 2005, and this one started up. There wasn't a huge gap before they got another magazine up. But I remember being slapped in the face when they basically shut down all the Star Trek sites and all the magazine and everything because Enterprise was ending. It's like, well, we don't need to promote Star Trek anymore. Because Paramount was just like, well, we're spending this money to promote a product. We don't have product anymore. We don't need to promote it. Didn't matter. There was a fan community that relied on these things and all that. So it was a bad time, if anyone remembers. But yeah, so the last sort of remnant of those sort of fan groups and the fan magazines, and that is this official magazine, which was decent for a long time, and is at least going out on a nice little Star Trek moment with an interview with William Shatner and that. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. I don't think there was any other news on trekmovie.com. I don't think there's anything at all new. Just talking about, just interviews about, Lower Decks ending, and Gates McFadden doing a podcast, and, the new half-hour reality comedy travesty that's coming from Tawny Newsome or whatever her name is. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of any of those issues, any of those stories.